Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Gerard Younger, and in today's video, I'll be talking about the Selphy CP1300, which is a portable compact printer from Canon. And however, before I do just want to give a bit of a backstory. So about 2 years ago, I decided to get fully into photography. I really had one main goal that I wanted to achieve, and that was to buy decent equipment that would allow me to take the best possible photos. And I also wanted to be able to print those photos. And so one of the printers I decided to buy was the Canon Selphy. And so in this video, I'll be sharing my experience with the printer, what the printer is capable of, and hopefully you are able to take something useful out of this video. So let's jump into it. Jump into what you get inside the box with the printer when you first receive it, of course, would be the printer itself, and then you would also have a paper cassette tray which would hold the 4x6 media that this printer is capable of printing on. It is possible to print smaller images on that 4x6 print, but I'll touch on that later in the video. You'll also get the AC adapter, which would power the printer itself. There is a battery option, however, you would still need the AC adapter to charge the battery, which is sold separately. And then you'll also get a test ink and paper set, which would allow you to print up to 5 sample prints. So the Selphy is a dye sublimation printer, and the best way to explain it is that you have these cartridges which have a ink film roller inside of them, and during printing, basically what's happening is the ink color film that's inside of them, it's being heated onto the paper to create the image. Now, a very convenient thing about this printer is when you buy the ink and the paper, they typically are sold as a set. And so when you buy the set, you would get the right amount of ink to print the entire pack. So for example, I have a pack or a set of 108, and that pack comes with 3 cassettes that can print up to 36 photos each. So I have the right amount of ink to print the exact 108 photo pack. So you never really run into the issue where you have too much paper and not enough ink, or too much ink and not enough paper. Originally, I bought this printer for business use. A while back, my uncle actually told me about it because he would DJ at events, and he would notice that people would be selling prints using this printer. And so he told me you should buy one because you would be able to make money on the side. But I didn't, because at the time I didn't really get any paid gigs. I didn't have any gigs at all. And this was more than 7 years ago. But about a year ago, I did buy it. And I did have some gigs that I was paid for to shoot, and I used that printer and I actually made money. So to give you an idea, the pack of paper that I have, 108, that's around $30, $31 when you buy a single pack. And if you were to sell these prints, let's sell them at $2 per print. So if you sell them at $2 and you print the entire 108 pack, you can make $216 printing the entire pack. Now, being able to make money from the printer was definitely an added bonus, but another reason why I picked it up was to be able to print family photos that I took, to create photo books and just put them into frames, hang them on the wall, throughout the house. And so definitely that was another factor in my decision for buying the Selphy printer. The setup of the Selphy printer is quite simple. There are multiple connection methods that you can use to communicate with the printer, but I won't be covering each and every one of them in this video. Do know there are instructional guides online that showcases each method in detail. But first, let's start with getting the ink and the paper installed. So what you would want to do is open the door on the right side of the printer. This would be the side where the ink cartridge is installed and also ejected. You want to make sure when you're installing the ink cartridge that you don't touch the film, because if you do, that can transfer onto your print if you have fingerprints or oils on the film. Next would be preparing the tray. So the tray would be where the paper is installed, and the paper as well, you don't want to touch the print side where the prints will be, because if you do, if you leave oils, fingerprints, that will mess up the print as well. When you're ready to install the paper into the tray, note that the tray can only hold up to 18 sheets total. Any more than that and you run a risk of jamming the printer. Thankfully, when you buy these prints, typically they come up to 18 in the pack itself, so all you have to do is unpack it and align it into the tray. When the paper is in, close the tray, flip the top lid to the open position, grab the Selphy printer, open the front door, align the tray with the inside, and then insert it. And you'll hear an audible click, and that will let you know that it's correctly inserted into the printer. At this point, you can plug in the power for the printer to get it powered on to begin the secondary process of the setup, which is actually connecting it to your desired device. So in terms of the compatible devices that the printer works with, it works with Mac OS, it works with Windows OS, it works with iOS, and it works with Android as well. Now, my recommendation would be if you're on a laptop or a desktop, be it that's a Windows computer or a Mac computer, just connect directly to the printer via a USB. That's typically the easiest way to set up a printer. It's just giving it a direct connection from the printer to your computer. But if that's not something that's possible, because the printer itself does not come with an included USB cable, unfortunately, so you would have to buy one on your own. So if you don't have a USB available, the next option would be to connect wirelessly. So connect the printer itself to your wireless network, and then add the printer from your computer to be able to print to the Selphy. On the phone side, you can have the printer set as a simplified access point where you can use your phone to connect directly to it, or you can have the printer set to be on the Wi-Fi, and then you would use the Canon Selphy app on your phone to pair it with your printer. The print quality of the Selphy is surprisingly good. At this point, I've printed over 100 photos with mine, and it does a very good job of re-representing your photos. Not exactly perfectly, but very closely when it prints it on paper. When you send a print to the printer, either using your Windows computer or your Apple device using AirPrint or an Android using Mapria, the print typically takes around 50 seconds to a little over a minute, and that's the entire process from when it's busy to when it's fully printed. Now, the way in which the Selphy prints would be, it lays down 4 layers, the first being a yellow layer, the second being magenta, the third being cyan, and then the last being an overcoat for the photo. When you have a set of photos that you're ready to print, you actually have a number of options to print with on this printer. And it's surprising because it's only limited to a 4x6 page, but you actually get a number of options to print with. And as you can see, if you use the phone app, it gives you options to choose from. You can do a combination print, you can do a shuffle print, or you can just do a single print page. And so it gives you a lot of ways to utilize that 4x6 print. Now, to show the quality of this printer, here are a few photos that I took and printed out. You have the option of doing a bordered print or borderless print. Me personally, I prefer the look of the bordered. It just looks more aesthetically pleasing. But if you wish to fill the entire paper, again, you do have a borderless option to go with. One thing to note is every print comes out with perforated edges on the ends that can be removed, but you do want to keep in mind that when you're doing a borderless print that you align it correctly, because if you don't align it correctly, when it prints out, if the print is on the perforated edge, when you peel it off, it would remove some of the print. And another thing to note is when you're printing, make sure there's nothing behind the printer, because during the printing process, the printer is feeding the paper out the back side. And so if there's anything behind it, it can obstruct it and jam the paper or possibly damage the printer. So I personally have 2 of these printers and I have cases for both of them. So when I'm traveling to a paid gig or to a family event, I can fit the ink, the paper, the printer, and the charger itself all in one place to take with me. Now, not in every case, you'll have an outlet to plug it into. So that's when the portable battery that you can purchase separately comes into play. I have one and I've used it and it works great, and it allows me to not have to bring the charger with me, which is a bit more convenient. To circle back to my original goal, which was to buy a printer that would allow me to print the photos that I took, the Selphy definitely allows me to achieve that, and even after having it for a year, it continues to surprise me by the level of the quality it's able to output. And in sort of a way, it inspires me to get out and take more photos, because knowing that I have this printer available, I can print my photos immediately in the comfort of my own home. Now, the printer is limited to a maximum size of 4x6. However, via software, it gives you a number of features to get the most out of that 4x6 print. But to move on to business use, again, I've used this personally on a couple of paid gigs. I will say on one gig that I worked, I had a lot of volume. So there were about 55 people that were requesting a print. And after the 35, 40 print mark, the printer actually started to slow down. And I think that was happening because it was getting too hot. And so if you're getting a lot of volume on your gigs in terms of request to print, this may not be the best option for you. But for me, I went ahead and bought a secondary printer so I can try and offset that. However, definitely get a photo booth style printer if you're printing tons of photos at an event. If that's not you, if you're someone who's just taking photos with your phone or with a camera that you have and you want to be able to print those photos from the comfort of your own home with PhotoLab quality, the Selphy will definitely allow you to do that. Now, if you've stayed this far into the video with me, thank you. I appreciate you very much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll be trying to be more consistent. Thank you. Bye.